You're replacing a glass, you'll get different types of fittings holding the glass in place. On here we've got some Phillips screw head fixings. So in theory you'd get your Phillips screwdriver, unscrew there, remove that bracket, unscrew again here, remove that bracket, and then along the bottom we've got a more robust bracket here, again with two Phillips fixings. So yeah, in theory you get your Phillips screwdriver, pop it in there, unscrew, remove these fixings, and then again along the bottom removing the fixing on there. The problem is over time, especially on the stoves where you get bolt fixings rather than these type of fixings, the bolts can seize. If that's the case, unfortunately it is often a case that you've got to drill out the bolts and go that way with things, because for whatever reason the manufacturers don't tend to grease up these bolts with heat-proof grease, and if they're not removed periodically they will seize over time. So it's always recommended to remove the fixings periodically, just to ensure that they are not seized. If you don't want to do that, it's always recommended to apply some heat-proof or copper grease when you remove the fixings to the thread, and that grease should stop the fixings binding and becoming stuck in place. Why the manufacturers don't do that, I'm not too sure, but yeah, it's always recommended. If you get a new stove or you bought one second hand, once you get it, try and remove the fixings and apply some copper grease on there, and that will allow you to more easily remove them and ensure that they don't seize. Now this stove has the bolt head fixings on it. So with this one, if you're removing the fixings, you'd get your socket set and place it on the head. But as I say, unfortunately, it does seem to be more the case with these types of fixings. They can seize up over time and be very difficult to get out. Often when these have been left for a long time, you will probably have to get someone to drill them out. Now the next thing to look out for is the seals on the door. Over time these can go quite hard and brittle. They can even start to fray in places. There's certain areas where they will wear out a bit more, so obviously there's more pressure being applied on this bottom edge of the door. The seal very compressed. If we zoom in and look here, we can see some fraying and damage to the seal there. Now obviously if your seal is in this sort of state, the stove's still usable, but over time you might get more drawing around the door, which is going to be detrimental to the performance of the stove. So yeah, when you're measuring up to replace your glass, it's always a good time to be checking the seals to see if they need replacing or removing as well. Now it might often be the case that either you don't have the owner's manual or the owner's manual doesn't contain this information. You might not know what width of seal you require. As I say, on the door, it's usually a 10mm seal. If you're not sure or you want to double check, the best thing to do is to get a tape measure and measure the width of the channel itself. So once you remove the seal from the channel, because when the seals are in, they get compressed and can be made wider, the best thing to do is to remove the seal and measure the width of the channel there. You will often, as I say, get a 10mm channel, but that channel width there that this rope is inserted into, that'll tell you what width rope you need. Again, on the glass, this seal here is going into a channel, and so the best thing would be to remove the glass, remove the seal, and then check the width of your channel. I mean, that's why it's good to do it when you're replacing your glass, because obviously the glass is removed, it's very easy to access the rope and replace it if needed. So as you can see on this door, we've got the round seal, as I say, and you can either, on the glass, you'll either get a round seal or a flat seal. On the door, it's always going to be a round seal, usually 10mm wide. On the glass, as I say, it can be round, it can be flat. It does vary a bit more in terms of the width on the glass. The flat seal comes in two different widths, a 10mm and a 15mm. Really, it's personal preference. The 15mm will give a bit more coverage on the glass, because when you apply the flat seal, rather than being behind the glass like this round seal is, you would apply the flat seal to the edge of the glass and prise it round each side of the piece of glass. So with it being a flat seal, you place the flat seal, it's self-adhesive, place it on the edge of the glass, prise it round, so you're getting a bit of coverage on both sides of the glass. And obviously with prising it round, where you've got clips like this, Ideally, it is good to have a bit of seal in behind the clip, because any direct contact between glass and metal work is a slight risk that you'll get cracking once the stove's been lit, because once the stove's lit, the glass expands slightly, and if it's being pinched or pressured at any point, it's going to expand, it's going to have nowhere to go, and it's going to lead to the glass cracking. I've known that to happen within a few seconds of lighting on stoves where the glass has been incorrectly fitted. When you're removing the seals to replace them, you remove the seal, you'll need to clean the channel out, because often you will get dirt and debris that's accumulated behind the seal. So remove the seal, clean the channel out, and then apply the glue into the channel. All of our rope packs come with glue and gloves for application, so you don't get your hands dirty and sooty when you're doing it. So yeah, remove the seal, clean out the channel, put the glue in there, and replace with the new seal. You will need to leave time for it to dry and cure before using the stove. And we do have a full video showing a complete tear down of a door, replacing the seals, glass, etc. on our channel. I'll put a link in the description below so that you can check that out if you want to see the whole process firsthand and get an idea of exactly what's required.